Further debate? Member for Brampton Centre.
Thank you, Speaker. It's an honour to rise here today on behalf of the good people of Brampton Centre and contribute to the debate on Bill 190. Just before I start, though, Speaker, I would like to thank all of the amazing frontline workers who've been putting their lives at risk amidst this global pandemic to make sure that our communities can stay safe. And I also want to thank all the community members that have been following the social distancing and public health recommendations. Many community members across the province have actually been stepping up, Mr. Speaker, and turning their empathy into action. We see grocery delivery, checking in on a senior, or just making sure that everyone is doing well. But it isn't just up to Ontarians to step up to the plate. I think they also need their government to do a little bit more. And while we will be supporting this bill, as we've heard from my colleagues, there are some fundamental gaps and opportunities that I think we're missing here. When we have a chance to make a difference and make life easier and more affordable for Ontarians, I think that we're missing the mark. While this bill does some technical changes to make virtual meetings possible, it's important to remember that there are many people across this province who actually don't have access to broadband or internet service. And so while some measures are welcomed, I think we need to still take into consideration there are many challenges that are still present here in Ontario. This bill doesn't even do anything to address the skyrocketing auto insurance rates in our province. We hear every day from constituents who are not driving, who are, again, following the recommendations of public health, but are still forced to pay those high auto insurance premiums. We have an opportunity to legislate that, regulate what those rates look like, and I think we're missing that opportunity again in this bill. As the housing critic, I hear from tenants and landlords on a regular basis who would just like to see some clear communication and support from this government, and yet nothing. This is the second time we're meeting to pass the emergency bill, and yet we're not taking into consideration what we keep hearing from community members across the province, not just in my riding. I'm sure in many of the other members' ridings you're hearing those concerns as well. The supply chain in our province has continued to function because we have dedicated frontline truck drivers, logistics, warehouse workers who are working around the clock to make sure that we are still receiving the goods that we need. Those people are still looking to hear from this government whether they're going to receive the protections they need or supports that they're looking for. Taxi and limo drivers, many of them have lost their lives serving the public. They've asked the government to step up to the plate and ensure that they could reduce their auto insurance premiums, reduce the costs associated to doing business, and yet we have an opportunity with an omnibus bill here today to implement some of those measures, create those regulations in the future to help those small businesses, and yet this government isn't taking that opportunity. And I find that a little disappointing, Speaker. As other members have mentioned, we heard about the need to increase capacity in our healthcare system. Again, we have a bill, we have an opportunity to have those conversations, perhaps increase capacity for testing, to ensure that surgeries can continue so people aren't waiting for those emergency surgeries that they need. But there's nothing in this bill that speaks to that, Speaker. Technical changes are welcome. I think we all agree that those changes are needed, but again, we could do more. And I think that that's where we need to be focusing on. We need to be proactive. And I think that this bill isn't really necessarily thinking proactively and putting into place those protections. I come from a small business family. Many of you do as well. And I think that it's important that we recognize that small businesses, many of them have had to close up shops. In Brampton, I spoke with the Board of Trade. Nearly 40% of our businesses are currently closed. That means that 40% of those businesses may not be able to open post-COVID. There aren't real economic recovery plans here in place to protect those businesses, to forgive those commercial rents that they're going to have to pay. Because if they're not open, a deferral of those rents isn't going to do much for them when they have to still pay $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 worth of rents 6 months from now. So I urge this government to think more critically. I understand this is a first step. We will be supporting it. But when we have the opportunity to do better for Ontario, I think we should take that. Thank you.
Thank you very much.